What's up everyone, welcome back to the LaceUp channel. My name's Mickey. If you ship food, FSMA 204 is no longer regulation on the horizon, it's here. If you want to do business with major retailers like Albertsons and Walmart, the expectations just got even tighter, and by 2026 you have to be compliant. In this video, we'll break down what FSMA 204 is, why it matters for your business, and how companies can stay compliant whether you're doing everything manually or if you want to implement a warehouse management system to automate end-to-end FSMA compliance. So let's get right into it. So from the government's perspective, why is FSMA 204 critical? In today's supply chain, speed and transparency are absolutely everything. When a food safety issue hits and you have to do a recall, you have to track and isolate the product, and the faster you can protect consumers, the better. FSMA 204 shifts traceability from a manual burden, meaning a guess of where the product went, to a mission critical safety system where you have to abide by it in order to be able to sell into large chain stores. So it's not just about compliance, it's about prevention, and that's a win for everybody, not just the distributor, the manufacturer, but also the customer, and that's why the government's really pushing this FSMA thing for 2026. The big issue is that retailers like Albertsons are going even further. FSMA 204 only applies to certain items on the FDA's food traceability list, items that include cheeses, eggs, produce. But the problem is that Albertsons believes that the list is going to grow and more items are going to be included. They think that this list is going to become comprehensive of all product that has an expiration date, which is why they're forcing everybody to do it. So if you ship to Albertsons, you need to comply whether your product is on the official list or not. Even though you probably are offended by this because Albertsons forcing you to do it, they know that ultimately every product will have to become FSMA compliant, which is why they're forcing it from today on all of their distributors. Here's an example of the sheet they've sent out to all their distributors indicating how you become FSMA compliant with their process. So now that you know what FSMA is, why it's important, and why retailers are forcing you to do it, if you're not using a warehouse management system, here's how you stay compliant. The first thing you have to do is you have to sign up with an EDI provider like SPS Commerce or True Commerce, one that's able to send advanced ship notices with traceability data. This means that you're going to have to not just manually enter the advanced ship notice into their systems, but as you're picking product, you're going to have to label every single case with a GS1 128 barcode, which includes the GTIN, the lot number, the pack date, and the expiration. Every single pallet, in addition to the case, has to have a serial shipping container code, which has a reference to everything that's on the pallet. All the information that's both on the pallet and on the cases has to go on the bill of lading, and it has to go on the paperwork that ends up at the customer. And finally, you're gonna have to log all of this stuff manually using spreadsheets or paperwork so that then your team can insert everything into the accounting system. Now, this is doable, but to be honest, my customers that have tried to do it have had to employ a full-time person just to label, record, and input everything into the accounting system. Not only is it slow, it's error-prone, but it's very costly to maintain and keep up and running. So what a lot of my customers are doing is they're shifting to a warehouse management system. Now, this isn't a plug for my own, but really it's the only way to automate this, especially if you're doing this at a large scale, and really be able to become FSMA compliant without adding any additional overhead to your current processes. So if you have a WMS or you're trying to get a WMS, here's what you're looking for. You need the WMS to automatically trigger the advanced ship notice based on what was picked and send it to True Commerce or SPS Commerce. The WMS should be able to print fully compliant case and pallet labels. It should be able to capture lot numbers and dates in real time during receiving or packing. And it should connect everything with your inventory system so that in the event that there's a recall, you can run a traceability report and instantly know what lot numbers went to what customers. It turns compliance from a manual burden into a fully automated process and doesn't really add any overhead to your costs. So if you currently have to be FSMA compliant, if your customers are enforcing this document, then I recommend you go out right now and you start shopping for a WMS. Yes, we can do it, but again, I would advocate for just getting something in place that automates the process end to end to minimize your workload. So you're probably asking yourself, why are WMSs better than manual compliance? We kind of talked about it in the previous point, but the truth is when you get a WMS, you're gonna save tens or even hundreds of hours by not having a double entry every single lot number into your system. Also, you're gonna reduce the human error. Anytime you introduce a human inputting data, they make mistakes, which means your traceability or the quality of your traceability drops. Also, you get real-time traceability, meaning that you know exactly what product has been labeled with what lot number, and you know exactly what customer it's being shipped to. Next, you can scale with confidence. So if you need to grow your business from 5 or 10 million a year to $100 million a year, well, imagine now having to employ extra labor to not only label all the boxes and the pallets, but keep those corresponding spreadsheets that associate the pallet with the label and the invoice with all of its pallets. With a WMS, you stay compliant automatically because the rules are baked into the system and the system's designed to automate the entire process. So for example, when you implement a WMS and you receive an order for a customer, the WMS should be able to output exactly how many pallets, what lot numbers are going on that order, and it will automatically pre-print the labels that are going to end up on that shipment. By doing that, you can almost automatically generate that ASN, but most of my distributors, they wait until after they've picked, because there may be shorts on the pallet that you're picking, and until they've labeled everything to hit the trigger that automatically sends the ASN from your WMS to the EDI company. By doing that, you've palletized, you've labeled everything automatically, you've tracked everything as those pallets are built, and you've associated those pallets to the bill of lading or the invoice in one single step. That's where the magic of WMS happens. It's able to pre-plan what your packs are going to look like before they exit your warehouse and they're shipped to the customer, which means you know exactly what the ASN is, what the pallet is, what the cases are, without even needing to go pick. And imagine the savings that you're getting by doing this, because if you don't have a WMS, somebody is going to have to manually capture the lot numbers being picked. Somebody's going to have to go to a label printer, print out those labels by manually entering the lot number, bring those labels to the cases, adhere the labels to the cases, and then do the same thing for the pallets while making a spreadsheet breaking down what cases are on what pallet, and then turning around to the EDI system and manually inputting what's on that advanced ship notice, including pallet tags and individual cases. So yeah, a WMS, if implemented properly, will completely automate this process end to end. Now, if you're a DSD distributor, how does this apply to you? Because as a DSD, you can't do an advanced ship notice because there is no purchase order. You're going to the customer, you're generating the invoice on the spot. Well, that's where things like DEX come into play, which is a form of EDI that happens at the point of receiving with the customer. With your DSD system, you should be able to capture the lot numbers being fulfilled to the customer and DEX those lot numbers in, thus giving you and the customer full lot traceability and keeping both of you FSMA compliant. So anyways, that covers the video on FSMA. You now know what FSMA is, why it's important, what happens if you don't implement it, meaning if you're doing it manually, what the benefits are of having a WMS, how it would look like with a WMS, and last but not least, if you're a DSD, how to address your FSMA requirements. Unfortunately, there is no way to get around the fact that FSMA is coming, and we have to implement the controls and the systems to not just be compliant with FSMA, but to automate the labor that's going to be associated with being compliant with chain stores like Albertsons, Walmart, and many others. Anyways, if you guys have any thoughts on FSMA, go down in the comments below, write a comment, let me know what you think. If you need a WMS to do your FSMA, that's me. Cheesy plug, but it's the truth, that's all we do. And anyways, please like, subscribe, do all that stuff in the video, and I look forward to seeing you next video. Take care. Oh, and also, I'll link the FSMA compliant Albertsons document below so you can read through it. In the event that you supply to Albertsons, ultimately they're going to make you become compliant. So see you next video. Take care.